Yeah, there are copies of the action proposal that UNAC put out, and I'm sorry we didn't get it earlier to people. I'll explain a little bit why that happened in a minute. But there are copies, I think, on the information table and out on the other table there, and some people have been passing them out. So you might want to take a look at those.
Oh, we also have to cite how long people can speak.
Yeah, I would say 2 minutes.
Huh?
I would say 2
minutes.
minutes. So, before we start and while we're waiting for people to come in, I just want to again thank Phil Alito and Anna Edwards and Kate O'Neill, who's the young woman who did the really hard, good job of chairing and has been paying a lot of time on the registration table, organizing it, and all the other folks in the Richmond area and nationally that helped to organize this conference. I also want to thank the folks who have been doing the video, also provided the sound, and everything that we've said here all weekend long has been live streamed. There's been people who have seen it all over the world. And those people are the other voices, other choices, and Wilton Voigt, who in particular, who runs it, who has helped us in other circumstances and done a similar thing. These folks over here have done an incredible job. And if you got any feedback, as I have, of the people who have been watching the live stream, it's really been coming out fantastic. I also want to mention again that Lynn Stewart is no longer with us. Lynn Stewart was a real supporter and friend of UNAC. And every UNAC conference, when she was in prison and we were fighting for her release, her presence was here in spirit. And when she got out, she was here in person. And she was represented here by Ralph, her husband. And it's a big loss for the movement, for UNAC, for every political prisoner who she fought for, and for all of humanity. But she left us a great example. So when we leave the conference, we must follow that example. That's what we need to do to honor the life of Lynn Stewart. And if you don't know a lot about the life of Lynn Stewart, on the UNAC table, there's a wonderful article written by Jeff Mackler, who headed up her campaign for her release on the West Coast. And you can get copies of it on the table over there and learn about this remarkable woman. So we're going to start off with a presentation of the, since it hasn't been out and we haven't a lot of people haven't had a chance to read it, presentation of this action proposal by Margaret Kimberly. But before we do the movement, we kind of followed the lead of what had happened before. And Sarah Flounders kind of explained how reality changed what we need to do, and each conference has been different. And what we did before, we would, if we had a conference in the spring, we'd say, okay, well, let's build some kind of action in the fall or something like that. But the reality that we live through today is mass actions don't happen like that because reality is changing so fast. We are under attack in every single area. And we don't know if there will be a war in Syria or in Venezuela or in North Korea. Or we don't know if a community is going to explode as it is exploding around the country, and especially in Minneapolis right now, as another killer cop has been released. Not one of them has served any prison time. And so people are out in the streets. So one of the things that UNAC has to be able to do is be flexible enough to help and respond and build those immediate struggles. We do want to look also in the future. And a lot of the guidance on how to do that and how to think about that has hopefully come through this conference. We had a tremendous number of speakers, and I really am thankful that you have survived the whole weekend and been here this whole time, and all those speakers. It's very, very difficult. But it's the way we're feeling our way around, trying to figure out how to join with these movements and make one big movement that can have the kinds of effect that we really need. And so that's a little bit what is reflected in the action proposal, and I'm not going to say more, but turn it over to Margaret Kimberly from the Administrative Committee. And I was told to give the timetable. So we're going to go on till about 12:45, then have lunch. And before we break, Anna Edwards is going to come up and talk about the action that we're going to do after lunch, because we're going to leave this conference immediately and do the kinds of things we've been talking about and not just talk about them. So we're going to have Margaret here.
Thank you, Joe. All right. Good morning, everybody. Just a reminder, because I'm a tweeter and a poster. The hashtag is UNAC 2017. So I know we've had some issues with Wi-Fi in the room, but I know you've been taking pictures. I've been watching you. You've been taking pictures, posting things. So UNAC 2017. Okay. You know, it's difficult to make time for all the things that we want to do at a conference like this. And we've not had, we had our workshops yesterday, but we haven't had enough opportunity, frankly, for us all to talk to one another and to have more direct conversation person to person. And we also want all of you to know what the administrative committee has been thinking about as this conference approached, and now that we are here in Richmond. So I hope you have the conference action proposal I hope you've had a chance to start. Have you read it a little? Should I give you a few seconds? I'm going to give you like 30 seconds. I think there's some on the back table, correct?
Yes, they're back there.
Yes.
No.
It says United Anti-War Coalition 2017 Conference Action Proposal, and it has 6 points. So I'm going to give people a few seconds to grab it so you can see it.
Is this the open period?
Yes.
Yes, after I'm done.
The 6 points that you just...
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we should wait until after.
After this. This is going to be quick.
No, we're
Yeah.
going to be discussing this and everything.
I know, but I'm not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be
Margaret
just me
speaks,
talking. That's
people
what I was
come
trying
up
to
to
say.
the mics.
Right. Okay. So the conference action proposal. I'm not going to read it. Everybody can read it for themselves, so I'm not going to read all 6 points. But if you look at it quickly, I think the first sentence says a lot. UNAC reaffirms its commitment to the organization of independent, mass action, united front mobilizations against all U.S. wars at home and abroad. That is our very first sentence in this proposal. And as you look at each point, you will see that we talk about some specific issues which the AC believes bring us, unite all of us together, whatever organizations we belong to. We are a coalition after all, and we have a variety of activities and interests that define us and have brought us all together. But we try to synthesize the issues that we do have common ground on. Obviously, war, being opposed to imperialist wars, being opposed to the neoliberal war, being opposed to the war, the ongoing war of racism in this country. And we talk about our desire to be a coalition of action, and that all of us, when we leave here, we will mobilize as independent actors in our various the places that we come from. And for some of us, it will be foreign policy. For some of us, it will be the police state. For some of us, it will be various actions. It will be against sanctions, fighting against fascism at home and abroad, fighting against, it's kind of funny, Trump turning back the clock on Cuba policy, although we have to say Obama's Cuba policy didn't change all that much, really. And then of course, he renewed the war of sanctions against Venezuela. So, at any rate, I hope that everyone now has had a chance to look at this and to affirm that we have a consensus about our actions once we all leave here. And with our work in our various groups and with the CC and the AC. So I think now we will, are we going to start bringing people up?
Yeah.
You can, okay, great. All right, great. So now we're going to have the opportunity that I know many of us have been waiting for all weekend. We are going to hear from you, and we're all going to listen to each other and be in discussion. Thank you.
Okay, if you do want to address us, come and stand in front of the mic in the center, so I don't have to call on people. We're going to ask people to speak, have a time limit of 2 minutes so we can hear from as many of you as possible. At the end of this, we are going to take a vote on the document that was Margaret just described, which is really our principles of unity and united action, which is a culmination of the work that we've done here and before we came. So we can get started, and is someone keeping time?
I'll do it.
Okay, Margaret's keeping time. Thank you.
2 minutes. Got it.
All right.
Hello, my name is Richard Oakes from Baltimore, Maryland. I support the unity statement that has been presented. In addition, I would like to propose that we start a campaign, Stop Arming ISIS. We've been bamboozled. The anti-war movement has a golden opportunity at this critical historical juncture to force an end to the global war on terror, because 2 bills in Congress, one pending and one already passed. Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii introduced H.R. 608. It's the Stop Arming Terrorism Act. According to Representative Gabbard and Hillary's leaked emails and former Senator Bob Graham and many reports, Saudi Arabia has been covertly inciting and arming Wahhabi fundamentalists in ISIS and other extremists in many countries. The JASTA bill has already been passed by Congress. This is the Justice Against Supporters of Terrorism Act, which allows the 9/11 victims' families to sue the Saudi government for its sending up to $500,000 to 2 of the armed named hijackers connected to the Pentagon attack, as revealed in the released 28 pages. This information is a bombshell if it ever gets widely publicized, because the bourgeois media has been haranguing that the U.S. has been
30
fighting
seconds.
ISIS, when all the while the U.S. has been directly and indirectly arming ISIS. If the working class knew that they have been bamboozled by a double game, excuse me, played by the U.S.-Saudi collaboration, they would rebel against such deception. I strongly urge UNAC to initiate a loud publicity campaign, including direct action and outreach to unions, churches, schools, local governments,
2 minutes.
and other groups to expose this subterfuge. Do not forget, the U.S. public was traumatized on 9/11 into supporting the global war on terror in spite of the blowback it may engender.
Your time is up.
Okay, the last sentence. The left would be remiss if we did not seize this opportunity to wage a campaign to turn the working class against these endless wars.
Sir, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
No.
No.
Whatever. No.
We're going to,
Please.
go ahead. You're
Thank
at the
you.
mic, go ahead.
Excuse me. My name is Bernardo August, and I'm here representing the Green Party of Delaware, and I also run an anti-nuclear organization, the Committee Against Plutonium Economics. I would like to emphasize something positive that would help our organizations to get together here more, that is have a safe renewable energy policy statement within one of the statements here. Because most of the wars we're going after oil and resource wars. And at home, on the home front here, we could be doing everything individually in our own way to shut down the system by installing solar panels on the house or getting the federal subsidies or working as a community for energy efficiencies and all sorts of economies that support ourselves and clean air and clean water. So I would like to have something on that
1
line.
minute.
One, okay. Now, and also too is, there's a typo in number 3. It says hands of Syria. It should be hands off Syria.
Obviously, thank you. That's
And,
my fault.
Again, this is my first conference, and I'll have a lot to report back home. And thank you for everybody here. I love everybody, and it was great meeting you all.
Thank you. Okay, wait, let me stop. Okay, so everybody has 2 minutes. I'm going to let you know when you have 1 minute left. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jamal Thomas. I have a channel, The Progressive Soapbox. Let's be honest. I agree with everything that's in these resolutions for the most part. None of these things are separate, though. Each and every issue, whether you're talking about environment, climate, war, all these things relate to the model itself, this capitalistic model that has a profit motive associated with it. There's a profit motive associated with each and every thing that you guys are complaining about. Whether it's war, whether it's poverty, whether it's Black Lives Matter, all of these things boil down to we're making a profit off of a particular thing. Unless you're dealing with the model, it doesn't matter. I agree with everything that's on this list, but the list has to take into account the politics of it, meaning you need to find a way to undermine the political system itself. Actions. I don't know what you mean by actions. I'm sorry. Like whether that's protests, whether that's marches, the federal government and the way these things have been arranged right now have terrorist policies. Literally, they will call these people terrorists and lock these people up. Profit motive, meaning each and every person
1 minute.
who's working has a narrowed focus on my particular life because those particular people are living in debt and poverty. You're going to have a hard time getting these people out for actions if those people can't figure out how to make their ends meet. That's all I'm saying. I agree with all of this. It's how do you organize all of these people under one particular thing? I don't think it's individual action. I think one for all, NATO, in that sense. Each and everything that takes place need to happen to each and every person, meaning if something takes place in an environment, something takes place where an African American is being murdered by a cop, all of these forces, all of these groups should react as one. That would be the case I make. Again, I agree with all of this. I think this is awesome. I would argue that there should be some kind of organized thing for each and every organization to come together under one roof in order to make it work. Because otherwise, you're functioning in your own sandbox. The environmental policy would never get nothing through faced with a capitalistic model that it doesn't recognize and is forced in fighting environmental policy. The war policy would never get anything through if it's fighting war, not realizing that
2
this
minutes.
idea is
Thank
a
you.
profit motive. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deborah Lusignan. I'm the sane progressive. There is no way that I can summarize everything in 2 minutes, so this is what I'm going to say to you. I have an experience for the past 2 years of talking to, I've had 10 million views. And my channel is half Trump supporters. Half Trump supporters have been watching this conference. And I am very concerned about the language of othering. I'm telling you, it is not about uniting the right or the left. It is about uniting the people. And there is a whole contingency of people ready to join us. And one of the things that's made my channel successful is I have been talking about politics through and challenging war through taking individual responsibility and then evolving as a collective whole. This has been very powerful. It has gotten many, many people who would be considered the opponents as us. And that is, and identity politics has been used, as we've seen with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. We have seen those have been used to wield against us to keep our divide, and we need a common humanity. We cannot use the language of war in trying to create peace, and we must find, not to diminish what the sufferings and the strugglings of all of us who have been, to recognize that, but use that to understand and to move into our collective humanity. I'm going to do a video on Sane Progressive that will articulate this much further later today. You can go to saneprogressive.com on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And I welcome you to the community, and I welcome every single speaker here to come on my show, as I can give you tens of thousands of views for your message. Thank you very much.
Lesson 2.
My name is Claudia Stara, and I also have an online channel called Cabin Talk. I came because of Debbie, actually. She brought me here. I'm incredibly impressed with all the speakers. I'm blown away by that, honestly. What I don't hear addressed at all is a war that is waged on all of us every single day in our sky, mostly by Raytheon. It's called geoengineering. You can call it chemtrails. You will only get conspiracy theory stuff. You call it geoengineering, you will get science. So I urge everybody to go on geoengineeringwatch.org and find out about it, because when you look at the sky, we no longer have blue skies with fluffy clouds. We have lines in them, and they're spraying us with aluminum, strontium, barium. There is science. It's not a conspiracy. It's even been in the mainstream media. So I would urge this panel in the next meeting to really, truly address the war that is waged on almost 8 billion people. And it doesn't matter what color, what religion, where you're from, where you live in the world, it's on every single one of you. And the reason there is sicknesses on the rise like Alzheimer's is because aluminum is being sprayed in nanoparticulate form. And so I really urge everybody to stop the thinking of conspiracy and look at what they're doing to each one. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Patrick McCann, Veterans for Peace, South Florida. I'd like to offer an organizing proposal, and I think that it's time for UNAC. And by the way, I think that UNAC is awesome. This is the multi-tendency revolutionary formation that we need to build in America. This is the coalition right here. This is the group that we need to build. But my suggestion is that it is time to set up local organizing committees and even regional networks. My experience in Veterans for Peace and in the NEA, something the AFT doesn't have, is regional networks. So I think it is time for us to build organization, organize. And I also, as an English teacher, I want to humbly offer an edited, I just did some edits.
That's it. Thank you. Wait. I'm sorry, hold on, as they reset my watch. So I'm going to hold up a sign. One is going to say you have 1 minute, and the
Thank
second
you.
is going to say you're finished.
It's okay, I can't see it.
Okay, well,
I'm going to be very brief anyway. I'm Rosa Maria de la Torre. I come from New York City, but I am originally from the border of Mexico and Texas. Both Mexico, I guess. one stolen. I belong to International Action Center and to Estudio 43 Collective, which came out of the Ayotzinapa Student Front. I was one of the organizers of the Caravana 43. We brought parents from Ayotzinapa, Guerrero, where 43 students were disappeared by the government. All 4 levels of government took part. By that I mean local police, state police, federal police, and the military. To this day, we have not found our children. My proposal is that we focus on supporting the communities under attack by ICE. They are being terrorized They are going into the places of work, which hadn't happened in many years. They are even going to schools. Just recently in New York City, ICE tried to speak with a child, and I do congratulate you on the fact that this year you had many more people of color, and I'll be honest with you, the reason I personally pushed myself to be here was precisely when I saw the list of panelists. I congratulate you on the fact that you did have Carolina Vélez speaking on ICE and immigrant rights. My proposal is that we continue to focus on that line. It affects everybody, not just legal or illegal immigrants. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Taryn Fivik. I'm with Workers' World Party. I just wanted to point out that the 50% military budget cut that's proposed, I think I also heard it in Philadelphia at the DNC last year from Jill Stein, would still leave the United States military budget as being $100 billion more than the next spender, which is China, which has $216 billion, followed by Russia, which has $69 billion. I just think it's not really ambitious enough. And I also think that while we talk about how that money should be redistributed to people here in the form of reparations, we should also talk about how that money could be distributed to countries that are victims of US imperialism in form of reparations as well. So I think that 50%, it seems rather arbitrary, and maybe we should be a little bit more ambitious in abolishing the Pentagon. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Gruenthal. I'm from New York City. And the first thing I want to say, I'll be very brief, is that I'm one of these people who do not think that New York is in the center of the universe, and so I'm glad that the UNAC meeting is in Richmond, Virginia, instead of the New York neighborhood. I just have one brief organizational suggestion, which is more or less what the person in yellow before me said. Just to add in something like, UNAC will work to organize local committees in different parts of the country to promote the aims and work of UNAC. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Margaret Flowers. I'm co-director of Popular Resistance, and I want to thank UNAC for putting this conference together. I was there in 2010 in Albany, and it's great to see how far you've come since then and the important work that you're doing. I just wanted to make a few comments, because when I look at this statement, I think that some of the wisdom that we heard on the panel this morning is not reflected in this plan here. And so we heard Glenn talk about the need for truth, and David talked about the need for clarity. I think right now in this misinformation environment that we live in, especially with all the Russiagate stuff that's going on, and really every conflict, there are lies around it. So I would like to see much more information coming out to kind of challenge those lies that we see out there. And I think Ajamu gave one method, which would be encouraging people to do op-eds and letter to the editors and things like that. Social media is another opportunity for that. I think Ajamu also said the importance of bringing forward a positive plan. You know, when I racked my brain this morning thinking about, well, how do we actually reach people to oppose war? I mean, the risk of increasing insecurity in the world, the money that's being spent, the risk of nuclear annihilation do not seem to be enough to mobilize people. But people are mobilized when they see a positive future and something they should be fighting for. So I think that's something that really also needs to be articulated widely. And then on top of that, the last thing is empowerment. There is a consensus against war. There is not a consensus that we have the power to abolish war. And so I think what Larry Ham talked about in terms of coming up with some really concrete strategic steps that could be taken would be important. So I would love to see more energy put into those kinds of things, and education and outreach, than being put into some sort of mass gathering. I think that will take a lot of resources that could be used to really build the base that could organically create a mass gathering in the future. Thanks.
My name is Kevin Zeese. I'm also with Popular Resistance, and thank everyone for staying for so long, and the speakers this morning were great. I think what we heard this morning really was a description of how UNAC can form a critical part of a political formation that's much needed in the United States, one that really unites these anti-capitalist, anti-racist, anti-imperialist forces. And I think that's so needed. And so I think that's what your focus should be, and that's great. But if we did that, let's say we accomplished that, we would still be a tiny minority of the U.S. political culture. And so in order to end war, we're talking about ending something that affects university research. We're talking about, health research, intelligence. We're talking about grammar schools, jobs all over the country, corporations all over the country. It's a massive U.S. empire. And we're taking on the centerpiece of U.S. capitalism here. And so to win that fight, we need to have a much broader than the radical formation. And so I think about this like we had a 5.5-year campaign to stop the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And we succeeded because it became a movement of movements. And it was not just a left movement. I worked with Democrats, and I can't stand Democrats. But that's what's needed to actually win. And so if we're going to win, we have to figure out how we can work in concert with, not necessarily in coalition with, forces that opposed the U.S. interventions, liked what Trump was saying about détente with Russia, but still want to have a deal with Russia. They're still capitalists. And I'm not saying support Trump, because he's not going to be around very long anyway, but those people are out there. So how do we create a situation of a movement of movements? We found in our work that being the radical fringe of those movements was critical. It pulled those more moderate forces in our direction. And the key to our success is uniting the more moderate forces with the more radical. And that's our job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Asantwa Nkrumah Torre. I live and organize in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I'm a member of Women of Color, Global Women's Strike, and the Green Party of Philadelphia. Okay, now, real quickly, I want to give a shout out, thank you to everyone here in Richmond, Virginia for organizing this conference. Yay! But I want to make 2 quick suggestions. And when I make a suggestion, I'm the kind of person who's willing to help with that suggestion. So suggestion in terms of logistics, that next time we have on-site childcare, which will help us to have more young people here at this conference, because the average age seems to be over 50. I ain't mad at over 50 because I'm over 52, even though I don't look like it because black don't crack. But anyway, also to patronize more people of color, locally owned and progressive businesses, especially food. Right? And also, I really, really want to give a shout out to UNAC for our position on Syria. I was at the Left Forum 2 weeks ago, and there was madness and confusion at the Left Forum regarding Syria, and y'all should be thankful to God I didn't go to those workshops. Because there was a person who I personally know who was spreading confusion on her workshops regarding Syria. But I'm just saying all that to say that the anti-war movement needs to continue to not be afraid to take the correct position and do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Please speak into the microphone and speak up, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My name is Julio. I offer loving greetings to everyone who's here, to the panel, everyone on the conference, and everyone who is listening and who will listen to this all over the world. You should know that there are many people who are victims of their governments. We are. That's what's happening. That's why we're bombing all you people in the world. We don't want that. You don't want that. There are a lot of people who don't want to do that. We can make this peace if we work together. Wherever you are, there are people fighting war. There are people who want peace. Join those people. Do what you can where you are. We're going to do what we can where we are. It's the truth that we share within us. We have that truth within us that pushes us to follow and to do good things, to avoid the wars, to prevent the wars. You can do that too. So let's work together. Let's work for the world that should be and not the world that is. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. My name is Nellie Hester Bailey. I am an organizer in Central Harlem. I started 10 years ago, Harlem Coalition Against War at Home and Abroad. I started that with Professor Bill Sales. We were some of the earlier opponents of Obama in 2007, and I'm also co-host Black Agenda Radio with Glenn Ford. Very quickly, UNAC has to look internally in terms of having a revenue stream, and you can do that because Popular Education has been mentioned it in terms of your publications. It can be a compilation of that. Everybody does it, and you can sell it because people can leave with understanding your positions, and you can also pull together a package of videotapes and showing the chronological progression of your time. Very quickly, also on the issue of Israel, I have yet to come to a conference where anybody talks about Israel nuclear armory. You don't talk about that. They are the only non-failed state in the region with that power, and why aren't we talking about it? And I would suggest some of the reasons is because of the Democratic Party. We don't need to go there. Truth is, in fact, our mission. A couple of other things, just in terms of the local population. You know, when you come to a conference, you want to see the local people. And maybe some thought, as we have been trying to tell the Left Forum, is that you sponsor local people. They have to pay for car fare to come here. They have to buy lunch. So if you're going to have someone come in from Detroit, Michigan, or whatever, then you should be able to sponsor local residents so that we can have that interaction. And that's the only way you're going to expand. And then lastly, you didn't have a panel on gentrification, and that is the ultimate assault against all people. Black people, white people, moderate income people, poor people. You have to talk about that, and you don't talk about that enough, and you didn't at all this time.
That's Nellie Bailey from the Harlem Tenants Association and
Harlem Tenants
Council, and a great activist from New York.
Yes, next.
Hello, everybody. I'm Cynthia Papermaster. I work with the Golden Gate Code Pink chapter in Berkeley, California. And this is Jiminy Wink. She's a Code Pink activist as well. There are two elements that I'd love to see included in your proposal, and they both start with E. And one is economics. And if we look at what the First Nations people have done around Standing Rock and what's come from that, it's a huge movement to divest from Wall Street, criminal banks. And I want you to see how that's succeeding around the country. Berkeley just voted a couple weeks ago to divest from Wells Fargo Bank, and cities all around us are doing the same. We're taking our money out, and if you look at the totals there, they run in the millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm encouraging each of you to go to your home cities and get your city councils to divest from that toxic bank they're using. Those banks are criminal. They are funding private prisons. They are funding fossil fuel projects. They are selling toxic, fraudulent loans and foreclosing on people and throwing them out of their homes. Get your cities to divest from those banks. And the other word is E, for the environment. Look at what the First Nations people do, and let's follow their lead more. I don't see that in your proposal, but I think it should be there. They have the moral authority. They are the indigenous people of our country, and they bless and not fight. And they bless the people they work with. We need to unify with everybody. We don't have time with the oceans rising, the climate change that's happening around us. We do not have time and the luxury of having mass demonstrations in the street, which really are so easy to ignore. We need to go inside every time. Let's have those, if we're going to march, let's get inside. Let's go right into their offices and sit right down in there. Let's not be in the street. So thank you for listening to me, and let's make this a justice economy, not a war economy. Thanks.
bring you greetings. I am Queen Nzinga, and today I'm here as a member of the Defenders, and as a Rasta, I am a member of the Ainiverse. First and foremost, I want to give thanks to that sister for suggesting that women and people of color speak first, because it's so nice to be considered. I've had experiences with racism and sexism, so I've learned to survive the double whammy. Anyone who's local, I came of age in the 50s and the 60s. I also survived Chesterfield, KK County, and the Colonial Heights. Yes, I did. And I'm proud to say it. I'm here to continue fighting for anything that is unjust. I've been told I have a big mouth, and I consider that a compliment. Because if I kept quiet, think of how much worse the situations would be today. And I do want to thank all of the people here for having enough courage and interest to actually become involved. Don't forget what you've learned here, and the speakers and the whole vibe has been just magnificent. Don't forget it when you walk out those doors, because the work has just begun. And we need to recognize, as many speakers have said, it is a concerted effort to divide us. When I was coming up, if I filled out an application, the only choice I had was white and non-white, or white and colored. You have to choose. Now, it's black, not of Hispanic origin, black of African origin, or what's another, to Tiger Woods, black of Pacific Island origin.
Thank you.
So we've got to get rid of those things that divide us. And because you don't experience it, doesn't mean it does not exist. Open up that third eye. Peace and love.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cheri Bailey, and it is an honor to be here. I want to talk about tomorrow on June 19th in Hampton. We're going to have a Juneteenth celebration to celebrate true freedom. Hampton History Museum is right down the street from Hampton University. So if you're from around here, ask someone how far that is. Less about 45 to 50 minutes. Please come out between noon and 5 p.m. The reason that we're over in Hampton is because that's right around the corner from Fort Monroe. And in 2 years, it'll be the 400th anniversary of when the first Africans who joined Jamestown arrived, and they came ashore at Fort Monroe. 242 years later, at Fort Monroe, you had the first of the enslaved getting their freedom under the Contraband of War Act, which was a federal policy that said that property owned by the enemy could be confiscated by the federal government. And so you had 3 enslaved men who escaped from their owner in Norfolk, went to Fort Monroe and demanded their freedom. This was 1 month before. That's 1 minute left? Okay. This is 1 month after Fort Sumter, where you had the enslaved getting their freedom at Fort Monroe. So this is a reframing of history that needs to be told. So our goal is to be able to allow people to know this history. So come out tomorrow or call us at juneteenthva.org, and we will be able to give you more information about all of that. Or see me here today. Thank you.
Hey, I'm John from Workers World, and I just have 2 concrete proposals. One, I think in the 6th point of the action proposal, we need to explicitly mention Venezuela, because the events going down in Venezuela right now are alarming, and I think they're also a great way in which we can connect the wars abroad with the wars at home, because we had someone today mention earlier all of the pipelines that are being built in the U.S. And why are they being built? Well, they're going to help transport this cheap fracking oil into the markets, into the global economy, so that they can sink the prices of oil, which will then wreck economies like Venezuela and others that are dependent on their oil revenue. And they're crushing indigenous people's struggles here, like in Standing Rock, to build these pipelines so that they can crush a government like like Venezuela, which is using its oil revenue to fund social services for the poorest people in the community, which are the indigenous people. So there's a lot of ways in which we can connect all of these struggles we've been talking about today by invoking what's going on in Venezuela, which has all the classic signs of a coup. Thank you. And the second point that I wanted to make was we could also be a part of a coalition that the ambassador of Venezuela had recently called. There was an emergency meeting at the UN mission in New York that several of us attended, and he called that. That doesn't normally happen. It happens when they're really worried, and we need to really get the word out that this coup is underway, and I think UNAC can provide the infrastructure for really raising awareness about that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Curio. I'm a graduate student in philosophy at Texas A&M University. I'm here with my colleague Patrick. I just want to thank UNAC and everyone here. My head hurts. It's so full of ideas and inspiration. I also want to thank Black Agenda Radio and Black Agenda Report for publicizing this event. That's how I found out about it. That's why I'm here. I want to give a special shout out to my brothers and sister Ed, James, and Ann right here on the front lines of the fight against the horrible drone wars that are going on in upstate New York. They need our help as they continue to face charges for obstructing a federal agency, which is what we're all here to do, right? The federal agency of imperialism. Is there any greater threat to peace than robotic war? You can't convince a robot to lay down its arms, right? I'm here to say that we need students. I am a student and an educator. I'm greatly inspired by the work of the Palestinian Solidarity Committee at UT Austin. I encourage you to look them up. I want to push back on something Sister Bernadette said earlier. Students are workers. All right? I don't know if you've heard about what's going on with tuition, but we have to work to be in school. Students are the proletariat. There's no distinction between students and workers. That's a bourgeois distinction. There's no reason not to galvanize this body of people before they're churned up and spat out by the capitalist machine, all right? 10% of my income goes to fees. We need to liberate students from debt so that they can fight for peace. They have too much to risk right now to get out on the streets with us. We need to divest our universities from war, and we need to repopulate the unions. My age group has no consciousness of unions. We need to re-educate young people about what unions have done and can do. Thank you very much.
I just want to second what the brother said about the friends from upstate New York and the drone work they've been doing at the Hancock base. It is really incredible and an inspiration for all of us. UNAC really applauds you for it and really wants to be a bigger part of it. And Creech in Nevada.
Hi, my name's Amanda Chartier. I was born in Maine, but I'm currently in Virginia and have been there for much too long, but I love it anyway. The Congress lady, Representative Barbara Lee, has been the strongest voice for anti-war, and she's really like, all the unauthorized attacks that's been going on. We hear all these things about Russia and Russia. That's really, we're not getting anywhere too fast, but the fact that the president's current administration is unauthorized attack, that's really illegal and not supposed to happen. So, what'd that fine lady say? Something about blessing each other. I would love to be able to attend an event where the people were like coming out and thanking, like it's one thing to go out and do protests, but it's another to go out and like praise and thank some Congress members for doing something. And I don't think we as a society do that enough, and I think that would be a real driving force in the Congress, because I don't know what is up with this Congress. I had no idea it was such a sleeping, slow, ineffective body of our government, but it really isn't getting much done. And so if we like praise the members that were doing things, maybe it would like have some kind of exciting momentum to do something special and in a hurry. So I'm just hoping that somehow we can connect with our Congress and praise them along.
Hello, my name is Pam Walter. I'm here thanks to my...
Speak up, please.
I'm not used to this
Pull
one.
it down.
Pull it down?
Yeah.
I'm here thanks to my wonderful friend Arlene, who has introduced me to UNAC and lots of other wonderful organizations. I hope I can read some of my notes, but as Whitney mentioned the other day, is that pipelines and environmental issues affect everybody. And not only that, but the environmental justice section of the EPA has been shut down, as a lot of parts of the EPA. So I think that's a huge, huge and vital section. So it's not just a question of supporting renewable energy, because the more we get into renewable energy, the less we need oil. The less we need oil, the less we have oil wars. So that, to me, is an economic impact. And I'm certainly, everybody in the universe has heard about Flint, Michigan. So I think if there's a connection with the folks who have led Flint, Michigan, also the group that was involved with the water shutdown in the city of Detroit, have a wonderful book that they wrote on how they did that. I mean, it's just unbelievably atrocious. So I definitely support what Larry Ham said and Phil said about working together. And these are some examples. One thing to mention is that I know that there was, remember back when President Bush went to St. Vincent College in Pennsylvania, they actually had a recorded debate at the school of St. Vincent. And when he went there, the students were very much against him commenting or presenting whatever at their commencement speech. And by scheduling the debate, they were able to have a lot of issues that were brought out in the open, and the students did a wonderful job. So I'm saying that is another example of how you can have something. And it was scheduled on C-SPAN, and they were wonderful. So thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Betty Davis. I'm with the New Abolitionist Movement, but I'm also, this time, wearing the hat for the Lynn Stewart organization. I want to continue the legacy of Lynn Stewart and her through this organization. And one of the things she mandated is that we continue to support the role of political prisoners in our daily lives. So what I have here is an appeal from Jalil Montekim. And one of the things he is asking through the Northeast Political Prisoner Contingent, which is headed by Sekou Odenga, who many of you helped us liberate, as you know. We want to strengthen our capacity to represent our political prisoners. We want to broaden the base of unity and support among the New African, Black, Native American, Puerto Rican, Chicano, Mexicano, and European American anti-racist and anti-imperialist trends in the overall struggle. Specifically, we want to create a political environment to build international solidarity among progressives around the world in support of our political prisoners. Specifically, we want the UN to investigate, along with progressive nations all over the world, the existence and the treatment and the violations of US political prisoners. And we're saying all of them. We're not just talking about political prisoners from the liberation struggle of the 60s. We're talking about the environmentalists who are getting horrendous sentences, and the ones who are protesting right now against the drones and against the war. That's my hat as a political prisoner supporter. Now I want to switch to my hat as an educator. All of you have mentioned education. If you support the concept of community control and adopt a high school, you could enlist as a speaker, and you can volunteer to get the ROTC out of our schools. So think in terms of adopting a public high school. Be there for the PTA. As a community person, you have that right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jade. I just graduated from VCU, so thank you. So I just wanted to briefly make some suggestions. The first is in terms of outreach for this conference. I would really like to see more outreach directed towards young people, and specifically to emphasize when that outreach is going on, to emphasize that it's not just about like the anti-war movement, because I feel like a lot of young people associate that with older generations and might be kind of like dissuaded from attending. And I know that I say that because I have been guilty of that in the past. So that's just one thing to emphasize, that it is inherently very multifaceted, and that's actually something that being here, I know, is like constantly reinforced. Another suggestion that I have is for accessibility. I would really like to see some ASL translators and Spanish translators here. I know that the Wayside organization, or the Wayside Center has those services that are rentable for events like this, so I would really recommend that. And also, I would like to back up what she said about childcare is also really important. So just some suggestions for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Revolutionary greeting. My name is Lee Robinson. I'm an organizer for the All African People's Revolutionary Party, GC, as well as an organizer for the African Awareness Association. I wear many hats because based on our reality, it's called for to wear many hats. In terms of your proposal, I'd like to suggest, number 6, that you include, when we're talking about this blockade and embargo, Zimbabwe. I don't know how that could be left off the list. I don't know how we could even have a panel this weekend without having someone from Zimbabwe. That's number 1. Number 2, young lady said something earlier about how we use the enemy words. When we're talking about blockade, embargo, I think we also need to look at Haiti and Papua New Guinea. That's number 1. Number 2, on behalf of the African Awareness Association, we would like to invite you and the world to come with us on our annual educational Black History Culture Tour to Cuba. It will take place on July 22nd through the 30th. And this is a serious tour. It's not for tourists. We come to show our thanks to Cuba, its people, and its revolution. As Brother Kwame Ture would say, the greatest crime that a man or a woman can commit is to be ungrateful. So come with us. You can go to our website, www.aa-cubatourist.com. My last contribution to this conference is, we know this battle is a battle about ideas. It's an ideological battle. It's an ideological war. So we know we need information. Because without information, people cannot think. And we thank this conference for giving our people some sense of organization. Because we know organization is the weapon for the oppressed. So we come to say to you, for more information from a Pan-African perspective, and we know that African people will free themselves. It will not come on the outside. It will not be dependent upon the peace movement. We as Africans going to decide this one. We know the solution to our problem is the African Revolution. That's the Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. And we're going to do that. For more information, go to the website www.a-prp-gc.org. Some people write things into history, some people write things out. We're going to make sure we can write our own history. We stand always ready for the revolution.
Thank you.
Sarah Flounders. I want to take some personal responsibility on when you're reviewing a statement and making sure it includes so many things. Fatigue plays into this too. So important issues can get left out. Today I raised the important struggle from the very beginning of UNAC to include Palestine. Whoops. We got to put it in. And we fought a real struggle, and all U.S. aid to Israel. We still stand for that. And to say at the same time, very much in support of including Zimbabwe, blockaded, sanctioned, including Haiti, including Venezuela, it's not just space on a page, it's including real struggles going on. So I think the administrative committee, and a lot of good suggestions came up here, including housing. Okay, 1 minute, so I'll just, including reparations and the demand for reparations. And also to really say no ban, no raids. We need to include immigrants and Muslims. This statement includes a lot, and I think we can take just a few more steps to make it even more inclusive of the real movements today. And all of us are supportive of these, and in one way or another it came up during this conference, so we'll try to refine this statement even more. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marty Goodman, Socialist Action. I'm a retired transit worker. Something's been brought up a couple of times already, so I should have gotten the mic earlier, but I'd like to expand slightly. I would like the list to include an end to the U.S.-UN occupation of Haiti. That's an issue that needs to be addressed by the left and the anti-war forces, and it always seems to be left out. Even the lists that I've heard tonight or yesterday of the occupied countries, Haiti was omitted. The U.S. occupation, U.S.-led UN occupation, has led to all kinds of catastrophes. You talk about Russia and Russian meddling. Well, I haven't seen the proof, but the proof is in Haiti. WikiLeaks revealed that under the occupation, the Clintons manipulated the election there and got a Duvalierist thug elected in Haiti. Okay? Also, the Clintons were involved, and WikiLeaks also documents this, to keep down the minimum wage in Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Hillary and Bill Clinton worked to keep the wages down. Lastly, the UN denied responsibility for the cholera outbreak. The Nepalese contingent dumped waste into drinking water and a river used for drinking and bathing, and they denied responsibility for this. All the people involved with the occupation, including all the way to the top, Obama, and all the way down, 9,500 people died in Haiti as a result of this cholera, and they denied responsibility and did almost nothing to end the outbreak, and it was very simple to do. So I say no more U.S.-UN occupation of Haiti. That needs to be in the program.
Hello, my name is David Rold. I'm an anti-imperialist revolutionary in Boston, and I'm a member of several organizations that are members of UNAC, and I think this conference was just really, really wonderful to hear like so many speakers who like all had an anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist perspective, and to have hundreds of people here united against this racist, white supremacist, capitalist U.S. empire. And I unite with the proposal, and I unite with most of the suggestions for things to add to the proposal. But like, we had a panel yesterday on Africa. The woman, I didn't catch her name, who spoke about the use of denying food as a weapon in Africa. She was really great. And I'd like to see more about Africa in the proposal. I unite with like adding that we support Zimbabwe against the embargo, but there are U.S. Instigated wars still going on in Libya and Mali and Somalia that the U.S. is like directly bombing, and Congo and Nigeria and probably other parts of Africa. There's a lot of warfare going on that's like instigated by the U.S. sending in proxies and trying to do regime changes in various countries in Africa. And I don't see any mention of Africa in here, and we need to add that. And make sure Palestine is added in as well. And lastly, I forgot to say that I do focus a lot of my work on stopping the war against Syria, and I want to commend UNAC for being clear about Syria for years and for UNAC's role in forming the Hands Off Syria Coalition. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Anderson, and I'm a graduate student at Texas A&M University. And I have two things to say. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you. Just like my colleague Curry, I'm here because Nellie Bailey and Glenn Ford advertised this on Black Agenda Radio, and I appreciate that a lot. The second thank you I want to give is to all the speakers, because the ideas have reinvigorated me. It's very isolating and lonely having to sit around and converse with all of these bourgeois white academics who really don't give a shit about anything. And so to come here and like be around people who have ideas and who care, it's amazing. And I'm already figuring out ways to incorporate some of these things into my classes, and I'll tell you, my students have no idea what's about to hit them. The second thing I'd like to say, I would like to bring up the issue of Native American rights, and just to remind ourselves that as we push the anti-imperialist agenda, as we push this movement forward, we can't forget that even sometimes the institutions that we appeal to are predicated on the doctrine of discovery. James Ricks beautifully pointed this out with a poem yesterday, and Nellie Bailey mentioned gentrification, and I think these are linked. If you think about it, genocide and gentrification are etymologically linked. These are two modes of dealing with supposed so-called unwanted people. And so we have to think about genocide and gentrification both as modes of colonialism that are here to wipe out entire peoples, whether it's in the cities or whole countries. And I just want us to keep that in the back of our mind when we appeal to things like the law, the Constitution, and things like that. Thank you.
Before the next speaker, I didn't realize it was already 12:30. We can't have any more speakers after the last woman that just waved. And try to keep it brief, because we still need to have a vote and we still have a little bit of business to take care of.
I'm Chris Gilbert. I teach at the Universidad Bolivariana in Caracas, Venezuela. I wanted to second the. Thank you. I wanted to second the proposal of the compañero from Workers' World to include Venezuela in the point 6, in which you have the statements about solidarity and expression rejecting the U.S. blockade. The blockade's a little bit less visible in the Venezuelan case, but there is a silent financial blockade. It's very hard for Venezuela to buy food even. They have to do strange financial transactions that pass through Portugal and other complicated things to even buy food from the United States. So it's silent, but it's there. And then there's military and diplomatic dimensions to the whole thing. There have been sanctions from the U.S. government, in addition to the apparently crazy, Obama had this decree that Venezuela was an extraordinary threat to something. But so it would be great to include some statement against in solidarity with Venezuela. And I think one of the great things, I thought the UNAC statement about Venezuela that appeared was excellent. So many people have adopted a kind of neither nor attitude on the left, and that's totally wrong. And the other important thing is sometimes they say, oh, well, we just have solidarity with the people of Venezuela, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, because the government is whatever criticisms you might have of the government is the hope that the people will have a future in Venezuela. So it's a little bit mistaken to say, oh, the government, we only support the people of Venezuela. Yes, but the government still maintains it's the hope for Venezuelan people to have a future. So that could be brought in mind. I want to say a little thing about Colombia. The U.S. continues to militarize Colombia. The FARC-Guerrilla has a 50-year trajectory of fighting for social justice, and they've recently made the decision, they've not been defeated, and they made a decision to pursue those social justice means by other pacific means, democratic, or what's considered through the means of the existing democracy. Nevertheless, the Colombian government is not accomplishing the accords. So that would be an interesting thing. That would be an important thing to point to the increased militarization of Colombia, and the fact that Colombia has been invited into the NATO and things like this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our goal for Juneteenth, Virginia is for Fort Monroe to become a national venue for conversations about race and policy development. And Fort Monroe, because of its history, in 1619, the first Africans came ashore at that location. 242 years later, the first of the enslaved started to get their freedom. So it's a sacred space that deserves to be a home for all of us. And I've been listening to what we're talking about and trying to build cohesion, and a national venue is one of the ways that that can happen. So if you're interested and can think and want to help this become a reality, please, please, please be in touch with me, Cheri Bailey, JuneteenthVirginia.org. Thank you.
Hi.
Wait, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Netra Halpern, and I'm the founder and producer at Peace Films. The reason I created this company was what I can see is that the reason the American people are supporting these policies is because the information that they're getting from our so-called news is very false. There's a lot of focusing on little things, and there's also just they're making stuff up. So it is true, there's a lot of fake news. MSNBC, CNN, Fox, all the supposed spectrum. So what Peace Films does is tell stories, show narratives of what's really happening, just the facts. And so I am looking for some people to join us. We need videographers, expert videographers. We're hopefully going to be going to the Middle East, and so we need people who can go that have the skills, director of photography, and who support the mission and vision of ending war and creating peace. Also, of course, supporters, because obviously it costs a lot of money to make films, and we want to get this to the mainstream. So we want to do a good quality product that people will watch. So if you're here, you can come talk to me. If you're online, go to peacefilms.net and reach out to me, Netra Halpern. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Catherine Wilkerson. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm an associate member of Veterans for Peace. Recently, my husband died from cancer caused by Agent Orange, and I would like to recommend to everyone here that you familiarize yourself with the Full Disclosure Project from Veterans for Peace, if you have not already done so, which seeks to counter the propaganda being promoted by the 13-year effort to rehabilitate the legacy of the Vietnam War. I also would like to say, with regard to what Netra just said, that I think it's really important for us to not only promote art and culture as a way of fighting against war and injustice, but to critique it as well. And when the Ken Burns documentary starts in September, I think it's important that we all critique that carefully, as Ken Burns cannot even say that he believes that the Vietnam War was an unjust war. So I hope that this will be a way that we can remember that the Vietnam War and its legacy continues to this day in terms of how we are being fed more propaganda for the wars that we're fighting now. Thank you.
I'm Fido Ebba. I very much appreciate for the people who organized this meeting. Is that okay now? Yes. Yes, okay. Yeah, my name is Fido Ebba. Originally, I came from the Horn of Africa as a refugee. My people, the Oromo, yeah, thank you. Some of you know about it already. These are Cushitic people originally, the first people who created human civilization. But now in the Horn of Africa, particularly in Ethiopia, we are suffering. The suffering of the people in the Horn of Africa is unknown to many. Yet there is a war going on. War machinery supplied by our tax money, particularly United States and UK. The support of, again, United States, UK, and Israel is destroying the lives of many. Many people are dying in prisons as refugees, particularly women. In 2014, over 110,000 people go to Yemen. You know the situation in Yemen today. Children is unbelievable. So I'm happy to come to know this organization, and more of Africa should be talked because it's completely forgotten for centuries and it's still being forgotten. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Seshadri Srinivas from St. Paul, Minnesota, and I thank you all for bringing this very important issue. And I have one problem. We all know the brutal military characteristic of this US imperialism started with the war on the Native Americans. But unfortunately, the Native Americans are outside this UNAC forum, and there must be some efforts to bring them to the center of this, and the right place for them is to right at the center and middle of this UNAC and not outside it. We have all to take responsibility to bring them inside and make them active in these efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacqueline Lukman, and I am the co-founder of a very small social media. I'm sorry. I'm the co-founder of a very small social media politics and social issues site called Coffee Current Events and Politics. But I've been active in social and racial justice issues pretty much since I was 20. And this is a wonderful gathering of people. It's wonderful to be in a space where it is not a politic thing to say that Black people need to be at the forefront or at the center of this movement. Because in the progressive circles, even today, in many circles on the left, people don't want to hear Black voices. They will say Black Lives Matter, they will have support for the flashpoint issues that we face along with police, regarding police brutality, but they don't want to hear what we have to say about the climate. They don't want to hear what we have to say about war. They don't want to hear what we have to say about economics. So this is critical, to have a space where people recognize that Black people have been dealing with these issues for a long, long time. And we've been in this struggle since we've been here. And that is not to say that we should be the only voice, but there is no revolution in this country without the revolutionaries. So I thank you for UNAC and the work that UNAC is doing. And the biggest challenge we face now is how do we get people, I'm preaching to the choir in here, but how do we get people who don't want to listen to Black voices to listen to Black voices on these issues? And that's, I think, where you all come in. So thank you very much.
Thank you. This has really been wonderful. I want to read a statement from two of our Canadian visitors who had to leave, and then we'll wrap things up. We support the UNAC Conference 2017 action proposal, and we see ourselves as part of implementing and building it. Long live people's struggle, and long live a united front to defeat imperialism and capitalism. In solidarity, Allison Bodine and Tamara Hansen from the Mobilization Against War and Occupation, MAWO, from Vancouver, Canada. So we thank them. this has been wonderful. This is exactly what is needed, and everyone got a chance to speak, and it was terrific. As Sarah said earlier, this action proposal is a culmination of something that we can unite around and come out of the conference, but it was a draft, and it was unfortunately a last-minute draft, and there were a number of things left out, but we will polish it up. Consider this a draft from the conference. We'll polish it up. We'll put in those things that are essential and missing, and we'll distribute to all of you and to everyone the finished product of what we came up with and how we can go forward in this movement. So we're going to wrap this up now, and we're going to take a vote. And we hope that we have a consensus here, and we'd love a unanimous vote that we accept the principles and the action proposal that came out of this conference, and building UNAC is part of that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That was unanimous and wonderful way to end. I'm going to ask Anna to come up now to say a few words about the march this afternoon and the importance of those who can to stick around, to come back after lunch and join us. Here she comes.
Thank you very much. We are going to, we're going to lunch. We will come back here and convene. Are we roughly on time?
Yes.
So 2:30 is the time that we will convene in order to march down to the burial ground in Shockoe Bottom. It's a 0.9 mile walk, so slightly less than 1 mile, and it's downhill. So that's a nice thing. It also means there's an uphill part coming back, right? So, but I do want to let you know that there is a van that has 7 seats. So for people who really cannot walk, we do have 7 seats available in the van. That van will be out front. If there are more people than that who really cannot make the walk, then I would ask those who do have vehicles and would like to do that to please offer rides to people who can do that. And otherwise, we will mark. You have an SUV? Okay, so if you would be near where the van is, just so people can follow you to a car, that would be great. The other thing I want to say is that this visit to the burial ground becomes meaningful if there is a gesture that you can make while you're down there. And I regret that it didn't occur to me to do something that we've done before, which is to provide flowers for everyone to bring and leave. So what I have thought of is that we have these pieces of paper on the back there, or if you have a piece of paper on you, that you can just write the name of a personal ancestor, someone that you miss, someone that you wish you could talk to, or the ancestor of someone who's important to you in relation to the struggle, on a piece of paper, and bring it with you so that we can leave it at the burial ground with our ancestors and share that moment of gathering together. So again, we will have lunch, come back here, and at 2:30 we will gather in order to go down to the burial ground.
What time?
2:30.
2:30.
Yeah.
Should we tell people 2:15?
So early?
No, let's say 2:30 on the dot, just because I know what it's like to get lunch and try to get back here. So if we say 2:30, we walk, because we finish up there, and then people are free to go home.